Hello, I'm Rick Steiner, and welcome to Lux Life Discovered. My guest today is Yelena Divinity with Divine Entertainment Events. So thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you for having me and for inviting me to be a part of this.
Oh, are you kidding? I know it's going to be great because I know you're shy and all that. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, of course. That is what they
So,
tell me.
yeah, right. No, I know how much energy you bring to an event. And so I just, you did what was the event you did last weekend? It was at what
Oh,
was
the
that
PBR.
festival? Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
Tell me
no.
about that because I saw your post and it looked so interesting.
Yeah, it was actually a pretty interesting situation. A few details that I don't actually really know what happened, but ultimately, so I live in Missouri and they were having the PBRs, one of their, big bull riding, events that they do leading up to the World Championship. And Bass Pro, which is like Johnny and stuff, actually lives here around the Springfield, Missouri area, but he owns one of the bull riding teams, which is Missouri Thunder. And so one of my DJs that I train, because I like to just like train different DJs and like improving on mixing and stuff like that. And so any of my friends that need help with that. So he's one of the DJs that I train, and he actually works for one of the local country clubs. And he got asked to step in and basically help fill in for the DJ that I don't really know what happened, but their original DJ wasn't able to be there. And so, just because how I work with all my people, it's like it's very much teamwork. And so I was actually on a trip. I was on my way to DC to DJ a corporate event up there. And he calls me and he's like, Yelena, here's the opportunity. Like, I'm so excited. Like, they're gonna want some event hosting, like, and he's primarily just done like radio DJ. He goes
Right.
by DJ Buck, but he's done radio DJ. And so as far as emceeing and mic presence and being not behind the DJ booth, it's not really something that he's necessarily comfortable with yet. And so he called me and he's like, can you help me out? And I was like, just me being who I am, I'm like, I'm available that weekend and we have my
I'll
system.
be
And I
there.
was like, hey, I was like, listen, I was like, I got you. We'll use my system. I'll help you with the music. Like, I will physically be there to be the MC. I was like, you just DJ. Like, let's go. Like, let's have fun and like let's show them why they should hire you to be working for PBR. And so that was super exciting. So we went out there, and long story short, the weekend went amazing and the team loved us. And I got to meet the social media person of Missouri Thunder and just meeting Andy Velo. Actually, he's one of their traveling country artists. So he actually connected to my
Wow.
system while it was pouring rain and we were like all set up under a tent. It was awesome. But we got some pretty exciting things coming up with PBR from that came from that weekend. And not to announce it too early, but I have a feeling I'll be DJing their world championship in Vegas next month. So
Oh, wow.
it's
That's exciting.
super exciting. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's all about being ready for the opportunities when they come instead of once they present themselves, it's too late to prepare, you know?
Truly.
So you were
Yeah.
ready. Yeah. And
Yeah.
that is why I've liked your energy from the time that you and our paths have crossed because you do have the energy that you bring to an event, and it's just where does that come from? I mean, not everybody has it, you know.
Yeah. You know, I love that question actually because I don't really get to share that part of it as often as I would like to. But just to be honest with you, I didn't really grow up having that energy. And I'm actually more, to be honest, I'm more of an introvert than an extrovert. But I
I
choose
would
to
never
be.
believe that.
Yeah, like I choose to be extroverted, but in order to kind of refill my cup, I definitely have to like kind of isolate and recharge and stuff just because of how
Yeah.
much I pour out. But honestly, where it comes from is truly whenever I was 15 years old, I actually, I was just doing the typical thing like, hey, you live life, like YOLO, like, whatever. And fast forward, my little sister, she was 8 years old, got sick and actually within a week she just didn't wake up one day, and so I got to personally directly experience losing my little sister at the age of 8 years old. And I come from a family of 11, so like there's just a lot of us and she was the baby of the family. And truly like after that and just seeing how it shifted my family and just every sibling and my parents. And, my parents did get a divorce because of it, and just a lot of stuff that kind of trickled out of it. I chose to basically, like, I would say that's probably one of the most traumatizing situations I've had. And from that, it was a moment where I was like, wow, like, life is short. Like, I don't actually know if I'm going to wake up tomorrow. Like, because clearly, like, nobody ever gets that memo. And so once I chose to value time over necessarily like length, it was like, hey, what can I do in this moment? How can I impact people in this moment? Like, technically, all I have right now is this one moment. Like, even leaving the house, like, you don't know what's going to happen. And so I just kind of took that, and then my love for people, my love for music, and that's a whole different thing of how I got into DJing. But it really just roots down to my love for people and wanting to leave people better than I found them. And so I find that I can do that with music and emceeing. And if I can choose to put my hurts and stuff like aside to really just bring out the energy and the positive, it's like, that's not to say that that's not there. And it's like, there's a time and space for it, but this world needs more light and energy and positivity and love. And I just, as a believer, that's just like my daily prayer is like, when people encounter me, I just want them to be filled and like just with hope and love and encouragement. And so I just strive to be that person every day, even when it's
Well,
hard.
yeah, well, that's neat, and it shows. It really does. So, and you put together a good team to work with, because the guys that I met that work with you, they're phenomenal as well.
Yes. And with that, actually, like, it's crazy because as far as like actual, employees, it's actually just me, but I subcontract all my friends out, and it's like a majority of them actually own their own companies. And it's exciting because it's like ever since I went out on my own a little over a year ago, with my own entertainment company and stuff, and just getting to travel with it, I realized that, sometimes in life you can hit your same goals, but if anything, sometimes you can even get further if you learn to put other people on the front line. And ever since I've chosen to have that perspective, it's like, hey, like, if all I care about is just like being a positive and everything, and spending time with my son, who his birthday's actually next week. He turned 6 years old. But
Oh
it's like,
man,
to me, yeah, it's like, to me, it was more about how can I impact people, and then how can I spend time with people I love, and realizing that part of that was me helping my friends hit their goals. And so it's just been awesome to like meet different people who want to be a part of what I'm doing, and not just really, I really work hard to not tell people what I want them to do. It's more of a, what goals do you have? And then how do your goals fit in with my goals? And then what's the bridge that we can work together to both be hitting our goals? Because at the end of the day, and I know we've kind of talked about this on a more personal level, but people are more inclined to work with people that they want to work with, and that they respect, that they know have their back, versus just, if I have a bunch of people building my dreams, it's just a matter of time before they get burnt out, or they're not as
right.
excited. It's like, at the end of the day, like, even if you're building your own goals and if you're hitting your own dreams, like, it doesn't matter how many hours you're putting in, because you're getting closer to your life. And that's what I try to do with everybody who comes to be part of the team.
That's great. And I've talked about this too. Not everybody has that philosophy. So many people have this, like, it's all about me. I want the spotlight, and if I don't get it, then nobody gets it. And that's just not your personality. It's not mine. And so we kind of set ourselves up for disappointment sometimes in that realm, not willingly, but we're both trusting and we want the best for everybody. But not everybody has that same mindset.
Well, I wanna say this, because I will say there was a time where I wasn't fully in that mindset, because like, with the previous company that I worked with, it's like, it's almost like being the it DJ kind of became, in a sense, like a desire and a temptation in a sense. And so it was crazy because I actually got myself to that point, not intentionally. Like, I wasn't like, oh, I want to be the it DJ. I just, we had a point system that, like, if people directly wanted you, that we would keep track of that stuff. And so becoming the most requested DJ and the top sales and all this stuff, and just being somebody that people wanted to have, actually naturally made me the it DJ. But truly like whenever during that transition of going out on my own, it was like during that moment that I was like, I can rebuild that, or like, you know what, it didn't really fulfill me. Like it didn't really make me feel good. Like, yeah, it was nice that people wanted me in all these places, but I was like, that doesn't like, what does that do? Like it's like, yeah, that's awesome. And so it was really having to pivot and being like, that didn't fill me. So like what can I do that I do enjoy, that doesn't burn me out, that makes me feel like I'm leaving an impact, outside of just myself.
Well, you're like me. You like that personal connection. You want to make sure know that that client that you're working for, whether it's a wedding, corporate event, whatever it may be, that they are pleased and they're happy, and it's something they're going to remember in a positive way for the rest of their life.
Yeah.
And I know there's different weddings, different events I've done that have been successful, but it was just like a routine thing. The ones that I remember the most are the ones where people express their desires. You get to know them, their personality, and it carries over into the whole event or wedding. And those are the most memorable ones for me.
Yes, yes.
So, what do you think your best event or best gig, whatever? I know you've enjoyed so many. What is there one or two that stand out more than anything else?
Oh, you know, I wouldn't even say it's necessarily as far as gigs or like specifically like that event. I think to me, the thing that stands out most is the relationships I build with the clients that I have, and just the organizations that I'm a part of. For example, like, whenever I was part of the other company, I actually got introduced to Big Cedar Lodge, which is one of Bass Pro's resorts down in Branson, Missouri, and
Right.
just kicking off from like just being hired as their Halloween DJ, where I just dressed up, in costume with the kids and like just getting to just be me. And they literally were like, hey, we don't really have anything besides like, can we just do a costume contest at some point and then just do your thing? And so they gave me zero direction and we killed it. And actually that ended up turning into an entire like exclusive contract I had with them for a few years. And then now that I'm on my own, they actually did reach out to me recently. And so we have a few dates locked in for next year, but it's just exciting to like have a relationship with a company that they are so sure in who you are and what you bring to the table that clients like that, and it's just more of like family friendly, it's just part of something that they offer, so it's not like a specific like award ceremony or something, even though we do those as well. The thing I love about that relationship is that they truly are just like, hey, as long as it's you and as long as you're like you can bring the equipment, whatever, like we're not even going to tell you what to do, like just be you. And I love that. Like I love whenever I get to just be myself, because that is what's made me such a strong MC and event host. It's because I could just do this. Like this is exactly how I talk on the mic, like, or just give and take depending on the environment. And then I'd say another one that's super exciting that I'm really looking forward to, where how just the direction that we go is I'm part of a travel club. I'm a travel agent on the side. And so I kind of help give deals to different, artists of mine and just DJs and stuff if we need to travel. And we actually, this past July, it was actually on my birthday. And it was exactly 1 year after I joined them. They asked me to DJ their VIP party and then their like farewell party. And it's one of those things where people come from all over the world just to, because
Wow.
we're just agents, like we're all just travel agents, and it's everybody who has a love for life and experience and sharing that with people. So it's like just that dynamic energy of like just high energy people, and that just, gosh, I don't even know how to explain it. It's one of those like you have to be there thing. But it sounds like they want to use Divine as the like the face of the entertainment for all the parties outside of their conference
That's
room. So
awesome. Yeah.
so it's just exciting to just see the growth and the people that I get to surround myself with.
And the people are wanting you, not your company as such that you're going to send someone for them. They want you.
Yeah, and you know
And
what?
that's
And sometimes they tell me the difference too, because I even ask, I'm like, hey, like I've been a part of organizations and companies where they didn't really know who their DJ was going to be. And so for me, I'm like, if you specifically want me, like let me know. But if it's just more of one of those things that like you just trust my guidance, because any DJ or anybody that I send out, like that's my brand on it, that's my name on it. And it's like is it like, do you trust me or do you specifically want my personality? And there's a difference. And I always ask, every single client the
That's
difference
good.
because
Yeah.
I never want to, have somebody think that they're getting me and then, have somebody else show up even though they're part of my team. I don't know. I just don't like that.
Well, no, that's happening quite a bit. Like it's certain people are trying to see how many events they can book for a weekend, and then the client is expecting person X there, and
Yeah.
person X is never seen, and so they're disappointed. So, but I like the way you did it because you're upfront about that, and so it's not like a surprise when the event happens,
Yeah.
and that's
Yeah.
huge. Yeah.
Truly. And like part of that too is the relationship side of it because whenever I talk to my brides or my business people, I always tell them I'm like, "Hey, like what you don't realize is part of what makes and I know you and I share this because you're in the event planning world. Like literally 90% of the work that it takes to make your event amazing is all done before the day of that event."
Definitely.
And
Yeah.
people don't realize, especially with music. And it's like, being the MC and stuff, it's like you want people to feel comfortable. You want people to feel welcome, especially your client. And so for me, that's such a crucial point. And every contract that I send out, it literally says, hey, you're going to be in direct contact with your DJ, whether that was me or Chris or, Buck or whoever. They know who their DJ is. They know who's coming out. And I even make it a point like, hey, like even though they're trusting me, like you take them out for coffee. Like let them meet you. Let them meet your personality because like you're the one that's the anchor point that's at their day. And it's just so
Right.
the relationship part is just so important to us that I could never see myself doing that.
Yeah. Well, it makes your whole event and the time with the client much more enjoyable, respectful, and it makes it allows you to have a bond, and that way you know what the client is expecting, but you also get to know a little bit about them as well. It's not just an event or a gig. It's that bond, and that bond is the best thing you can build.
Oh my gosh, absolutely. And especially like some of the questions that I love to ask, especially when it comes to weddings. Like, and I know that's the industry that we kind of share in the most right now. And I tell people I'm like, hey, like the system, we'll talk about the system, we'll talk about the price, we'll talk about how it's gonna look, we'll talk about the music, all that's the easy part. And every single person, I'm like, I want to understand you guys. Like, tell me about your relationship. Tell me about how you met. Like, because as you guys are sharing your story, me as the person who's creating that experience, like I'm able to pull details. Like, let's say, for example, like they met at a truck stop and it's like, oh my gosh, why not do a little fun game that has to do something with a truck stop? Like, and it's like certain things that people don't think of, but it's really just picking all the details of that client or that company or that organization or that relationship and bringing it into the event that then makes people walk away and be like, oh my gosh, that was so them, like down to the detail. It wasn't just, a divine event,
Yeah.
no pun intended. But
Right.
it was them. And that's what stands out. And then their friends and family could be like, oh my gosh, like how'd you guys do that? Like, how did you just bring your personalities into it? And it's just part of like caring about the details in the relationship. So
And then that client is that much more impressed because it's like you actually listen to what I told you.
yeah.
It's like, I was telling someone earlier, the worst thing somebody can tell me when planning an event, whether it's a corporate event or wedding, is like, you do a great job, you just do what you want to do. Well, it's not my event. It's like, what's that personality of the couple? What, like you said, what do they share? What's their interest? Because if you can capitalize on that during the event, wedding, then you make it much more enjoyable for the guests as well as the couple. And it's a hit all the way around.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, you and I having been in the industry for so long, because, I probably have like over 400 weddings now. And this fall now makes it 7 years ever since I got into, DJing weddings and stuff. And, you know, um, part of that too is like, because we have that experience, like one of the things that I like to ask too, the moment somebody brings up something about like, well, my mom wanted this or my dad wanted this, and actually I just talked to a couple a few days ago and where I told them, I was like, hey, like, I do care what your parents want out of this, but I also understand like this is your day. And it's like sometimes, depending on how involved parents want to be, oftentimes I find that sometimes parents want to relive their wedding out of their children. And it's like
Mhm.
being the person who's able to take both and find the middle ground on like how can we blend what they're wanting, but also what you want and what you're comfortable with so that it still feels like it's yours and everybody's kind of happy at the end of the day instead of picking sides or being the person that's like, oh well, your parents said this and they're paying for it, so I'm just going to do it their way. It's like, no, like let's talk about it. Like let's figure this out together.
That's good. That's good. And that's very important because you want to listen to because that's, even though the parents may be paying for it, it's the young couple's big day. So
Yeah.
you're right. It's important to be able to bring that mix together and make it where the couple doesn't feel like they're being left out, even though it's about them. So,
Yeah. Yeah. And just having like it was like, another little thing was like one of my couple, from a few days ago, they kind of said something. They're like, well, what if somebody comes up and like they request this or that? And I'm like, that's part of why we do this because once I know what your vision is, anybody who comes up the day, I was like, I'm the middle guy and I'm, the bad guy that's like, hey, no, we're not gonna do this. And it's like that keeps it from them. And it's like, hey, like because I already knew this, like you don't even have to stress about it because I can help kind of keep us in the lines of what you wanted out of your day.
you brought up a good point. How do you deal with it? Because I did a wedding one time, and it's like the bride, certain members of the bride's family and a lot of their friends, they spent more time bothering the DJ about playing different songs that they wanted. And the DJ was pretty rude to them in some cases, but understandably so because it went overboard. So
Yeah.
how do you deal with that?
Well, thankfully, the clients that I get already are at a certain standard where it's not just the guests feel like they can just come up and tell the DJ what to do. So
Yeah,
that's a huge blessing in itself that I will say that, sometimes I do take for granted and I forget how challenging it can be for people that, maybe, don't have their own business or haven't done it for a while, or maybe aren't as confrontational as I have learned to be when it comes to being at a wedding. And so for me, it's actually pretty simple because I'll just tell them, I'm like, hey, like you're not the client, like this is their day. And it's like, let's say, for example, they request a song that is, let's say country, right? And let's say hypothetically, my couple was like, hey, we hate country. But I always ask them, I'm like, okay, you say you hate country, but if somebody requests a country song, do you still want me to play it or do you want me to just tell them no? So I still ask permission from the clients prior, like during our planning calls, like, how do you want me to handle those situations? So everything that I do as far as how I handle it the day of, I already got permission from the couple to do so.
yeah,
And
yeah.
so they already know that, like, if I do end up coming to them with a question about something like that, then I've already done everything on my end to let that person know, like, hey, this doesn't fit with what they wanted. So, like, respectfully, like, you're here to enjoy it. Like, just come enjoy it and you can listen to that song on your way home. Like, and sometimes I have to do that.
That's good. Yeah.
Or, yeah, yeah. And so sometimes I do that. And then, other times I'll just flat out, like, yes, we can pull almost any song. Yes, we can pull any song with the software that we have because it's so advanced. But just sometimes it's just easier to be like, hey, I don't have that song, or like, hey, I can't find that song. Like you're just like, hey, it's or like not even like that, just like, hey, it's not part of their playlist that they've selected for the day. And I just
Yeah.
kind of try to more communicate it like that instead of just, hey, that's a bad song, because it could be a great song, but it's not part of the vision. So
I've ever seen you smiling quite a bit, talking to somebody like the same person. I'm gonna know, okay, she's giving them the spiel. I know what she's doing.
yeah, yeah. If you see me, like, yeah. Or if I look really disappointed, then it's probably like, oh, I just, that song we just, for some reason, no. I do try to just tell people like, hey, it's not part of, the genres, or hey, it doesn't really fit with what they wanted for the day. Because usually people can, they respect that. And it's like, if they don't, then it's like, why even have a person who doesn't want to respect your wedding day?
That's true. Good point.
So
Yeah.
it's kind of
Well, I'll tell you what, I know that I'm excited because you will be my MC for my bridal shows in 2 weeks in Jonesboro, a week and a half in Jonesboro. And then also for my spring bridal shows in Fayetteville, Arkansas, and in Sandustin, Florida. So I'm excited about that because it's going to be a lot of fun. So
Yes, me too. And it based on a few changes in my personal life, it looks like I'll be going out to Florida a lot more often. So I'm super excited to just get into that industry and that market too and just help you keep doing this. And who knows, maybe we can bring it to a few more states. So
yes, definitely. So what else states do you cover in case people want to reach out to you? What
gosh, honestly, so what I always tell people is if you need me to bring my equipment, as long as I can drive there, like that's my parameters, is like as long as I can drive there on a vehicle. If they have their own equipment or if it's something that I'm not able to drive to, then I do, require equipment to be there, or I'll just quote them for like what it would look like for me to rent the equipment. I do prefer, like when I get the chance, I do prefer to just drive my own equipment just because I know I can trust the quality of it. I know exactly what everything is, how everything works, and just I know, like, I trust my system. Like, my system's awesome. It's a very expensive system. And so I prefer that over, renting something and then for some reason something's wrong with the speaker and it's like just leaving that space of like, leaving that error, like that margin for error. I don't like that, especially when it comes to the type of events that I'm a part of, because, one moment of a speaker popping could ruin, in the middle of a ceremony. Like, and it's every second, like some of my friends give me a hard time because whenever I train and I coach, I'm like, every second counts. The moment you get to the event, from the moment we start music to the moment we stop, like every second is crucial as far as when there's songs played, when there's music, when there's not music, when we're talking, when we're not talking. And, am I a little OCD about it? Maybe. Should I off a little bit?
that's
Maybe.
what makes it so good. So yeah,
But
yeah.
yeah, we can fly or drive as long as I know that I have a system that I can use. So
All right, we're going to put your website on the screen now. And so that's the way people can go to your website directly and then see how to contact you via phone or email. And trust me, you won't be disappointed. So, yeah. And
thank
then, well, I appreciate you being here today. And thanks for filling in and doing such a good job because it's always good to talk to you. I always love your energy and everything you bring to the whole table. So, yeah. But
no.
so thank you again.
Thank you so much for having me, and I'm excited
You're
to see
welcome.
you here in
It was a
just
quick
like
30 minutes. Yes.
yes, I'm excited to see you here in the upcoming weekend. So,
Me too. All right. Well, that concludes our episode of Lux Life Discovered. So thank you for joining us today, and we will see you soon.
all right, you guys, God bless.